Thanks for joining us in another episode of Radio with Pictures, where we say, here are the women. Here are the women who are knowledgeable, they're skillful, they're communicators, and they are decision makers. Unfortunately, not always in the formal decision-making structures where they should be. To discuss this and more, we welcome to this segment Laisa Rokovu from the Song Wakamarama Itoke in Navua. Thanks for joining us. We've joined from Vunimoli in Lambasa by Manjula Devi. Manjula is a member of the Vunimoli Arya Mahela Mandal Samaj. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
We also have Luisa Yalambula from the Bulileka Mothers Club in Lambasa. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Bulo Veribunuya, who is a correspondent and convener for FemLINK Pacific, working with women in Nosori and Nasinu. Yes? Great. Now, I want to start us off by thinking about this quote as we reflect on the impact of Tropical Cyclone Winston. Vasiti Thakao from the Nosori youth shared this with us. The issues here are serious. Normally in my community, when parents are unemployed, their children will drop out from school. Some families can't even afford food for their children to send them to school. Now, this was a quote before Tropical Cyclone Winston devastated our country. I'd like us to imagine what families and in communities across Fiji are going through now, you know, when they were already living in such poverty. So if I could start with you, Laisa, in your knowledge and experience of communities and as we reflect on the impact of Winston, but also other natural disasters that we've experienced in Fiji, what are you thinking about now?
Well, being a mother, being a woman, I would say that
it's not easy, right?
It is not easy for us to, even though we didn't go through the cyclone, the Winston,
as badly as other communities.
Yes. And but we have experienced the flood, and I think most women stood up on their own and try and work out things so that they can keep the family together.
Why do you think women are having to do this on their own? Are they single mothers, or they just pick up the pieces?
Some of them are single moms, and but most of them, they just pick up the pieces to see that things are run smoothly in the family.
Thank you so much, Laisa. Manjula, how did you fare during Tropical Cyclone Winston and other experiences that you have learned from in helping prepare your community, in helping organize recovery?
During Cyclone Amy, we were badly devastated because of the flooding. There was shortage of water, and the communication breakdown. We were not able to know some people in Korotari drowned.
How many years ago was that?
2003.
In 2000,
during Cyclone Amy.
During Cyclone Amy. So as you heard about the news of Tropical Cyclone Winston approaching, and then with the shift, how did you organize?
We were preparing for it.
How did the families prepare?
Yeah, they were putting on the shutters and cutting down trees.
Did you feel you received enough information?
No.
Why not?
Because first we heard that it was coming to our side, then the cyclone turned, and during the daytime we didn't know. The wind was blowing very fast, but we were not, didn't know that the cyclone was, which direction it was going to.
And because you obviously, like the rest of Vanuatu, also experienced a communication blackout. So how were you trying to keep track? Were you staying in touch with families on Viti level? What were you doing if you didn't have radio or other communication?
we couldn't communicate.
You
Just
did.
blackout, yeah.
Yeah. So you weren't able
Yeah.
to. So those hours were quite scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Manjula. Luisa, Bulileka Mothers Club. It's a very big community.
Yes.
Tell us about how you were all preparing in the village.
Yes, Sharon. I can mention that the information related to us was not accurate. It was not really accurate because people, they just come and tell us, hey, the cyclone is coming. But they did not clarify it was up to category 5.
So I just want to say that you weren't able to receive information directly. You were
Yes.
relying on other people. to
Other
give-
people, we
okay.
rely on other people, but we are very lucky that one of the commissioner's driver is in our village, and he told us house to house, you have to prepare well, you have to prepare candles, kerosene, and put on window shutters, so that because the hurricane is up to category 5 now. Like we were not aware, but we are very lucky that day. It was Friday afternoon, before Winston came, that that people have to be prepared by this driver from the commissioner's office.
Because he lives in your community.
He live in our village.
So how do you get information now? People listening to the radio, do they have transistors?
A majority in our community, they're just watching a FBC program in the TV, television, Fiji One. Not my TV, it's not clear there in Buleleka community. But majority, they just watch the news at the FBC and Fiji One.
So they're watching television.
They're watching television and they
Throughout
have to
the
wait
day?
for that 6 o'clock news.
Okay.
Then from there we get the information.
Okay, so you had to wait until 6 p.m.
Until
on
6
Friday
p.m. on
to
Friday
receive
afternoon, yes.
information through the public media.
Yeah.
Below, in terms of your community, how did you prepare, and what are some of the lessons learned from the recent experience with Tropical Cyclone Winston?
The last cyclones before Tropical Cyclone Winston, in 1993, when I was 7 years old, I was on the island, and I did not feel anything more badly. But on 2012, it's Cyclone Evan, when I was in the SL group, it was badly hit by us. And then in last 2 weeks, it's Cyclone Winston, and we were well prepared, because on the 2012 we did not prepare when the cyclone struck us. So we prepared firstly our basic first aid kit, for example Panadol, Band-Aid, and also we
So you
stored
put
food.
together a kit, and you
Yes.
basically, because of what you experienced in 2012, you really made sure you were organized in 2016.
Yes.
After the break, we're going to talk about your recommendations for national development. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on Radio with Pictures. Now we're going to talk about what we'd like to see in terms of national development priorities. So if we think forward for the next 5 years, I'm going to start with you, Manjula. What are the development priorities that you would like to see for the country? What would you like to see Fiji in 5 years' time?
Infrastructure. I want the road conditions to be improved. We have the very poor road conditions, especially we come from the sugarcane farming community, and I live in Bulimoli. There we find very dusty roads, and it's our health problem. People get
Yes.
sick.
Yeah, so because of bad roads. But you just raised a point that women of the Vunimoli area, Mela Mandal, are very much involved in sugarcane farming, yes?
Yes.
So what are your recommendations for the sugar industry? How can we revive it? How can we bring it back to where it was in the heyday of the sugar industry? Or should we be looking at other forms of agriculture?
Sugar is the main export for our country, So we have to improve our sugarcane.
And many of you women are involved in managing the farms, am I right?
Yeah,
What's a typical day for you? You manage the farm, you run the shop, yeah?
yeah.
So how can women be more involved in farming in general, in agriculture? Are you getting information that you need? Are people talking to you?
Yeah, we get the information.
You get the information, so you'd like that to continue.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Manjula. Lisa, in terms of the National Development Plan, what is the Fiji you'd like to see in 5 years' time?
I'd like to see the best Fiji, better than what Fiji is today. I'll speak mainly in Nabua. Nabua is one of the towns that hasn't been any development done. If only the state can see to that and do whatever they think, just to bring the Nabua town to a higher, do something about it. So as soon as it is a heavy rain, the Nabua River towards the Nabua town burst and it's always be flooded.
Yes. You're always on alert for flooding,
That's
aren't you?
right.
Okay.
Not so much on hurricane, but on flood.
But so when you talk about improvements to the town, what would that look like in 5 years? What would you like to see in Nabua town?
First, if they can improve the market, where women don't have proper stalls to sit comfortably and sell their crops. They normally sit along the roadside. This is especially women that comes from the interior of Serua and Namusi, and so is from Banga Island.
So there's
That's
some
also-
basic development needs that need to be invested
Yes,
in
yes.
Nabua. Okay, thank you. Luisa, with the work that you're doing in Bulileka and meeting other women leaders, what's the national development priority for you?
Yes, Sharon. For me, from a personal belief, I would like to see development happen in our village. For example, we're bringing up the issues so many times now for the community to extend the community hall for the evacuation center. I still remember last year, the official government, they came around and talked with us. That is one issue, the women group, the Tosavati women group from Bulileka, that is our issue. We asked them, if you could please, there is a need.
Okay, that's at the community level,
In a
but
community.
let's look at the national level.
At the
As
national
a country
level,
as a whole, in order to have those community halls, it takes money to build, right? So in order for us to have a sustainable economy, have safe communities, what is the kind of development that will bring that about? What would you like to see for the country as a whole?
right now, we are running a project, a beehiving project which consists of 20 double. The first harvest was now 1,000 plus. And from there, we sit down and have a talk that we can do some other development in 3 to 2 years' time. But the main focus for that project was for our children's education. Just because we see that development is in very slow progress. So we sit down and talk and decide if you can at least mobilize with that amount of money so that we can do some other development at least for that.
Okay, so that's at the community level that you're doing these projects. So coming back, what should be the national development priorities? Is it health? We've heard of infrastructure, we've heard of rural development for towns, the town and country planning type work. So for Fiji, what should we be focusing on? Is it agriculture and expanding agriculture to support this kind of beekeeping project?
Yes, it is agriculture. You want to see the agriculture section, see that there's much development in the all areas, all community levels. Want to see much more, like 30% women, to be included in all agriculture level,
Okay.
in decision-making level.
All right. Below, as you go out and you consult women, we had a central division consultation in January. What are women saying that they would like the focus on to be in the new development plan?
They want health services to be improved, as most of them have been faced a lot of issues in regarding into their communities. Like most of them don't have a dispensary, and also some of them the unpaid of the community health workers.
So women in the health sector, women's health priorities are very important. What
Yes.
about for young people in terms of job creation, new jobs, because people might have lost employment? What kind of economic security should be there for young people like you?
At least they have to
Should the minimum wage increase below?
yes.
We've got $2.32 an hour. Are people able to survive on $2.32 an hour, or should we strive towards the economy being able to pay a better minimum wage?
We have to pay them for a better.
Can young people survive on $2.32 an hour?
No.
What can you buy if you work $2.32 an hour? Not much.
Yes.
Not much. Okay. After the break, we'll find out more about the solutions and the innovations of women in their communities. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on Radio with Pictures. And in this segment, we're going to prove to you just what women can do, even with $2,500. And we're going to start with talking to you, Manjula, of the Vunimoli Arya Mela Samaj in Lambasa. You received a $2,500 grant from the Canada Fund several years ago, and you managed to upgrade something in your community. Tell us about that.
The water tank, installation of the water tank.
Yes. And you also did some improvements to your hall.
Kitchen.
Yes. So how did the women organize? Because you're not your work full time is in the farm, in the home, in your shop. How did you all work together to successfully pull off this project?
Our club ladies, women, we got together and we discussed the issue because of the prolonged drought and cyclone season. We need, because our temple is on the high place, we needed water. Water is the basic need for our survival. So we are lucky to get, I thank Auntie Vasu for helping us. That time she was
She's with the PCP, yes.
yeah, she was the supervisor for the Pacific Center for the Pacific Building. Through her, she used to come to us, help us a lot. That's how we got the tank.
So you were able to develop your project because there was time and space given to you, yeah, to think about what do we need. You did an assessment of your community. You were able to communicate this, and you were able to manage the money. You kept all your receipts and everything, yes?
Yeah.
And and now your whole community is able to have a good center that has water as well as the kitchen, yeah? How did you feel when you finished the project?
We finished the project in 2 months' time.
In 2 months?
Yeah. And the community members, the men also help us, and through raffling and for donations, we were able to accomplish our goals.
How did you feel when it was finished?
We were
Happy?
very happy
Yeah.
because water is our basic need. When we have the festivals, we had the water available for us.
So you were really doing something for your community, weren't you?
Yeah, and it's also good for the evacuation centers like Cyclone. People can come because it's a low-lying area. The river gets flooded, so people can come to our temple and evacuation center.
Be there
Yeah,
safely.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Manjula, for sharing that. Lisa, I understand that you and several women have gotten together and set up a multiracial group. Tell us about this new multicultural group in Navua.
Thank you, Sharon. There are about 30 Fijian women and 10 Indo-Fijian women. In fact, I was representing the Songo Wakamarama Itoke. So for the past 5 years, I see that there's a lot of development being done to the Fijian women. And then I tend to turn around and ask myself, what about my neighbors, my Indian sisters? So I thought of bringing them together, and we worked together, and they agreed. But as it is right now, we've only started with whatever we have. A lot of my Indian sisters have bought freehold land, so they've just started up and encouraged them to start whatever they can do with whatever portion
So
of land
what
they
are
have.
they doing in the land? Are they farming? Are they?
They are farming, they do poultry farming and
Beekeeping?
keeping, and some of them have also got ponds where they.
Aquaculture as well.
That's right.
So how can this this model of women's entrepreneurship be scaled up? What other support do women need?
As I've already said, I've asked them to start with whatever they have, and then we'll link ourselves together with FemLINK, and then we'll ask, and from there we'll go further and see what other assistance that we
But
can
the
get.
first step was reaching out
That's
to everyone
right.
in the community and bringing them together.
That's right.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Lisa. Louisa, you talked earlier about bee farming, beekeeping. What is, I know also from visiting your village that women are also involved in small-scale farming. But what else are women doing to be able to contribute to their families' income, to the overall well-being of their community?
Yes, Sharon. Even though we have the bee farming there, we have access to land too. And another thing, women there, they're very skillful in weaving, in handicraft. Like it's one of the main source of income generating in a community. That most women, like Mathuata women, we are very proud of weaving what you call that kuta. Kuta. And during the cutting of kuta season, you can see, if you come into the village, see all the women are right there in the field cutting the kuta, because they're very skillful in doing weaving and weaving mat and basket, salu too, from that kuta. So like we extend our knowledge and our knowledge in doing some income, despite the fact that there's a beehive there. Because we mainly focus the beehive for the children's education. But for the everyday living, we move on, like we rise another level. We have some other source of income, like access to farming. We plant vegetables, we plant root crops. Yes, I do plant cassava just to help my husband. And we do we use those skill in doing weaving and sell in the market in Lambasa. But unfortunately, they're in the market, the price there is not
I was just going to ask you, is there a market, apart from the Lambasa market, and we keep hearing plans for a handicraft market in Lambasa, but do you have the customers in Lambasa, or should your products be part of this bigger Buy Fiji Made campaign so that it's being sold in other outlets as well?
As a Fiji Arts Council, they promised us this March we'll have a big show in Savu Savu. We should prepare our items, handicraft, to the standard they like, so that they can provide us a market.
Are you getting training to improve the scale or to improve your products?
For the time being, we don't have any training. Only from our old women there. We get training from them.
So there's obviously an opportunity to build on the knowledge, the skills, the innovation, the community spirit of women, to make sure that you're part of the long-term development and decision-making. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your company on Radio with Pictures. We look forward to you joining us again. Inaka.